Hey everybody, welcome to Titan Talk, and I switched directly to the wrong camera right off the bat. Starting strong today on the stream.
Was it me?
It was you.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, you were looking. You were
staring off into the abyss.
Deep into thought. You were.
Yeah,
I wonder what we're
pre-game prepping.
What are we going to talk about today? Welcome everybody. Glad you're here. Hello, Suzanne. Hello, Gary. Good to see everybody on the podcast today. I don't really. Ryan mentioned we may have a special guest in our chat here. It's more like a interim host with your local talent.
Here we go. You see me? I'm at a different camera. I am a guest now. We just wanted to change it up since Coop's not here.
Is it Lord Major? Is that what the
Lord Major?
Lord Major?
Actually,
Okay.
Master Major Sergeant.
Sergeant
Master
Ultra.
Sergeant Major.
Master,
Sergeant Major.
Master Chief.
No, that's all. Sergeant Major's military. So.
Oh, okay.
The ranking structure can get a little confusing. So, just Major.
Just
or
Major.
you know what? Just McFarland's fine.
McFarland. Okay. Thank you, Lieutenant. All right,
You got
so
it,
we're here
Corporal.
today, and like we mentioned in the podcast, we are talking today about the issue of, or the fact that the weather is changing. This is tricky. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat at the same time.
It
which
is. So I'm trying to help. So there will be football chat. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, we saw
you already
some
demanded we hurry up. There's a lot of demands coming.
Yeah, a
out
lot
today.
of Suzanne's just like, get on the air.
Yeah.
Don't talk about football.
Right. Do what I want.
Give me a pumpkin spice latte recipe.
Fantastic.
All the requests coming through. None of those will be
Honored.
today
Yeah,
at all.
absolutely.
But we were thinking about it today, and we were talking about the weather is changing as it is wont to do with the weather, and there is some cooler weather coming up.
Yes,
and
this coming weekend.
yeah, starting around I think Friday or so. Thank goodness we're starting to head into actual fall weather.
Yeah, it ticks back up after, so that unfortunately it's going to be short-lived. But we're looking at like mid 60s for the weekend, so maybe a few bonfires will be fired up at my house. I know for sure.
That'd be awesome.
Nice.
Do you do the marshmallows?
Yeah.
Do the whole thing?
Yep. My wife calls them s'mores, even though it's s'more. It's an Indiana thing.
S'mores?
There's a weird in there.
She does the apostrophe that is actually in there.
Yeah, she's like s'mores, and so we'll do those. Let the dogs run around the yard. We're big. This time of year is our year. So our time. Our time. It's our favorite time of year.
It's a favorite time of year. We're big. We put up Halloween decorations this weekend out in the front
Might have been up for 2 months
and everything.
But
Okay.
yeah,
all
it's
right.
just really tough. You come home and it smells like pecan. Pumpkin waffles,
apple candles
and
everywhere.
It's like sweating and still hot out, so it's nice to see that we get a little cold snap.
Yeah.
So it'll actually feel. We'll probably do some chili, white chicken chili, fantastic.
Here's a question.
Cheese,
here's a question for the chat too. Speaking of chili, nothing. I went in here. Remember, I was in your office earlier. I'm like, let's think of a topic to talk about. We really need to. But this is more
Work topic,
important.
yeah.
Work topic.
Not even near there.
I have a question for
What's up, Charles?
big love going out to Suzanne too.
Yes.
See, she's sending all the love,
She's
all the
a
fall
doll.
love. Beans or no beans with the chili?
Depends. So white chicken chili, we do a black bean, which really complements the kind of a white chicken chili is really cheesy. It's cream cheese, like an assortment of other cheeses, and obviously the chicken, so it's not near as hearty. So a nice black bean kind of makes it a little heartier, I guess. But the regular chili, I'll take either. I'm not gonna not eat
Not
chili.
hard on one way
I'm
or
not
another.
picky. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's comfort food.
Yeah.
I like comfort food.
I could go either way too. There's some strong debate around the.
Well, the real big debate around the chili, especially a Midwesterner, you're relatively Midwesterner for the most part. Yeah. For the last couple of years or however many, but is this came from, and I've been a Midwestern my whole life, Nebraska and Missouri, the two states I've lived in, so in Indiana. But anyway,
Thus, local talent.
yes, the controversy a lot of people run into is cinnamon roll with your chili. We talked about this last year at the same time. So
we did.
I think Coop may have started a poll for it or whatever, but I can't exactly remember. But yeah, I'm a big cinnamon roll with chili. As you kind of get towards the bottom, start just basically it's like a breadstick for pasta.
Yeah.
It's another vehicle to get goodness into your gullet.
I'm down. It's sort of like the question of the cheddar cheese slice on the apple pie.
See, I've never tried that.
Oh, it's good.
My grandma swears by it.
It's
and
really
so
good.
She's 92, so she's probably learned a thing or two in those 92 years of life. And if it makes the apple pie taste better, then I may have to venture out and try it myself. But
It seems like whenever you talk to grandmas, all the grandmas like that.
yeah, she knows how to eat. She knows how to cook. She knows how to eat. So she took and continues to take good care of us. She can't cook as much anymore because of her age,
Yeah.
but she's got a famous sauce recipe that I've probably talked about on here before. Why do we always gravitate towards food?
Oh, dude.
Like, what is this fat guy over here blabbing about? And I'm like, oh, well, it's food. And everybody, it's a comfort thing. Everybody kind of comes together. My family's big on it. You surround a table of people you care about, and you share your love through food.
Yep. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. So, to the topic at hand, I really was curious, and I wanted you to talk a little bit about, you've had obviously your time in the force, your time in the field. Help our officers and any other security officers who may be watching, because I know we get a lot of folks who
Yes.
do watch the show that are not working at Titan yet. And
right.
With colder weather comes its own set of challenges. And one of the things that you mentioned was there are a lot more encounters with the homeless population.
Yep.
Can you chat with us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So something you'll come in contact with is more homeless people occupying spaces that aren't theirs. Whether that's a public space or a private space. And so we are obviously hired by property management companies and companies across Kansas City to kind of help deter that activity. And so some things you can do, I'll give you tips and tricks as a security officer or as a tenant. A lot of people live in apartments, especially with the price of housing going up. It's just easier to rent.
Right.
And so apartment complexes are, it's an area where a lot of people live in the same spot. So it's good to be courteous of your neighbors. And so one thing to do is make sure you're not letting people piggyback off of you when you're going into your complex. And, that's
So
where you
keeping
live.
an eye on that?
Yeah, that's where you live. And it's not to say that people that don't do that are bad. It's just you don't really think about it. And so maybe that guy is a tenant or maybe he isn't, and so it's kind of a holding the door policy, which I'm guilty of. I'll hold it to where it's awkward.
I've
Like
done
at
that
like at a quick trip.
like the pool or something in your
Yeah.
community. You'll hold
Yeah.
it like, oh, sure, you live here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come in
And
here
so-
with all these kids that I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah, you don't pay dues, but just think about that stuff when you're making entry, because a lot of those areas will have a door that's unlocked that leads to a door that's locked. That is typically to kind of combat the AC heating and cooling bill,
Right.
because if you just have an open door in and out,
Right.
that little, I always say it wrong. It sounds like vegetable, but it's not. The vestibule, the area there.
Vestibule.
Vestibule. Yeah, so
Vestibule.
no sh in it, just vestibule.
I think it's vestibule.
Okay, there we go. And so that area is often a hot spot for people that are looking to get out of the cold, and so
Oh, right in that entry
yeah.
there.
Yep. And so sometimes that, for people that aren't used to, living in the city or living where the homeless community will take advantage of those situations, that that can be very off-putting or scary for someone. Someone coming home after work. You've had a long day and you're coming home and you see some stranger laying on the ground in there. So that property management companies and just apartment complexes as a whole really want to deter that activity. It's not that they don't care about people and keeping them warm, but at the same time they care about the people that are paying to be there.
Yeah.
And so security companies would be hired out. And when I was on patrol here, it was a nightly routine when it starts to get cold is you go and you try to relocate those guys, guys and gals. And so the best way to do that is, for one, like we always talk about, treat them like a human being.
Okay.
Don't go in there and just say, hey, you need to leave, because that person's probably been kicked out of multiple places already.
Right.
So they're just moving around trying to find somewhere to stay warm, especially when it starts to get in the middle of the winter when it's like negatives and,
Yeah. It's got to
dangerously
be brutal
cold
around here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dangerously cold. People are just trying to get out of the elements. And so, again, remember to treat them like human beings. Give them a time frame. Say, hey, I'm going to go do a round on a floor. When I get back, I want you to have your stuff picked up. And, we'll get you out to an area where the shelters will take you and stuff like that. So those are things that you can have at your disposal to use to try to, keep that person from feeling like you're there just to kick
Yeah.
them out,
Let's-
and also offer them some options.
Let's talk about that for a minute. So that's all great information, but let's talk about real life scenarios. So, you're going to run into the sleeping in the doorway, like you mentioned, kind of a thing, or the entryway. A number of things can happen encountering someone who's homeless.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of different reasons. There's a lot of different things going on with that person.
Absolutely.
Can you lay out a couple of typical scenarios? What do you recommend? How do we train, in broad strokes, obviously, how
Yeah.
do we train our officers to deal with those situations?
Well, again, I'll double back to what I started with: is treat that person like a human being. There's somebody that loves that person. They could be down on their luck. And so there's lots of factors, like you said, that go into someone not having a place to stay, whether that be temporarily or permanently. And so they're just trying to do the best they can to make ends meet. And sometimes that means hiding out in a place where it's warm and they have somewhere to seek refuge for the evening. And so, again, treat them like a human being, somebody loves them, and offer solutions to their temporary problem, which is they can't be here right now.
Right.
And so whether that be, hey, there's a fire station down the road, see if they have some options. They
that's a
often will
good
have
idea.
lists of places you can go. I always had one for me because I was the downtown patrol unit. So I always had a list of I won't say any of the names, but of places that will take individuals in at all hours of the night.
And I can imagine real quick that if you're working in a particular area on a regular basis,
You get to know everybody.
it would probably be a good idea to know the facilities,
Of course.
perhaps in your area. So you can go to this place, you can talk to Dave or Susan or
Yeah.
whoever,
Yeah.
and get to know your area. So you can try to, because we're there to help. We have our clients, but I mean, like you said, at the end of the day, it's dealing with people.
Yep.
So thinking of it as your area you're protecting is probably a good idea.
I can tell you what will turn into a bad situation really quick is going in there, shaking somebody awake and saying, you need to leave now. Because, no one wants... I would want that done in my living room.
I hate it when
out
I'm
on the
asleep,
street.
when I'm snoring, my wife hits
Yeah.
me in the ribs.
Yeah, just moving
as
around.
she should. I'm like, nobody likes that.
No, of course not. And so that's kind of how I try to teach my guys and how I learned. And some of that was me learning on my own in
Yeah.
the field of, wow, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. A lot of people that are down on their luck like that will have weapons on them. Whether that be, a bladed weapon or some sort of blunt force weapon. You always want to keep your distance, but again, treat them like a human being and let them know there's alternatives or options.
This is a great question. I love the treated with a human. I mean, look at I heard somebody say once, and I think this is really profound, as they said, I think it was Maya Angelou actually. She said, I'm going to say this wrong, but be kind to everybody. They're going through a battle that you'd know nothing of.
Sure.
Everybody
Absolutely.
has something.
Everybody's got their own story.
They got
man.
their thing that's going on, and it's important to do that. And Sarah asked a great question, which was, is there any website or something you could tell us where local shelters are so we can give them somewhere to go, warm to go, rather than just say no? So I would say for the Kansas City area, I mean, if you drop into Google and type in Kansas City shelters,
It's going to be your best.
you're
one
going to
of your
have
best bets.
the top list there's going to be a shelters list on there, I'm sure. You can also, this is a trick, you can pull up Google Maps and just type in homeless shelter or warming. I think they're called warming
centers.
warming center.
Yep.
And that's a great trick if you're in a particular area because you can zoom in. So I would
Yeah.
say just keep that local on your phone. I would say that's probably one of the times it's cool to grab your phone and be like,
Sure.
hey, let's find a
Yeah. If you're helping someone do your job, no, that's perfectly
yeah,
fine.
someone's gonna. What were you doing? I was helping
Well,
them find a place to stay so they didn't die in the cold, right?
Most of those incidents are going to be with our patrol guys. You'll see it on some of the retail locations. Towards the end of a shift or closing time. Obviously it gets. I don't know if daylight savings taking place this year or not, but it gets darker earlier, so people are seeking refuge sooner.
Yeah.
And so there are times where they'll go into a retail store that we take care of, and they'll find a way to try and hide somewhere. And
Right.
so that's why we have people do patrols at the end of the shift, not just to make you walk a bunch of steps before you leave. It's to make sure that there's nobody there.
Yeah,
so people.
There's a reason for all of these
Yes.
things.
Yes.
Over 15 years of experience
course.
doing this.
Yeah, and a lot of people that are homeless or like I said, down on their luck or temporarily don't have a place to stay. It's just statistically speaking, a lot of them are veterans, so they're very resourceful, and and they're good at not having a place to sleep every night. They
Right.
they kind of have to be adaptable, and so people will come up with I guess tactics to stay out of the cold.
Right.
We're human beings at the end of the day, and so your instinct is to stay warm, and so they'll find ways to do that. And so our job is to make sure that they're not illegally doing that on properties that we service.
That's great advice. And I would say if this is helpful for you, I'd drop a like real quick or leave a comment on some of the tips that you have on if you've had encounters or you've found some things that are helping with the homeless population you've had to deal with before. And so Lavi mentioned that he developed a double-sided half-sheet resource that he would print a stack off and put points on it in St. Louis. So I will take a look at that, Lavi. Thank you for the
Our patrol guys have them too.
Oh, they have
it
them
was
too.
A sheet. I can probably grab one for you. But yeah, like I said, I'm not going to say any names because some of those those organizations may not want their name listed, which most of them do because they're helping people. But just for sake of being courteous to them, there's quite a few that most people would know, especially that have worked patrol out here. And so that's a list we would give people. Sometimes they would literally throw it back at us and say, "Go do this with it." And I'd say, "Okay,
Yeah.
have a nice evening." And then there's other people that would take advantage of it. So you can only be as helpful as someone's allowing, as someone is willing to allow you to help them, and so or willing to help themselves. And so being a good resource is sometimes the best thing you can do. And some people are going to be less receptive to your tactics on helping them. And so that's again where our job comes in as customer service and understanding that, hey, this guy's having a bad day. He's not necessarily mad at me, but we have to handle this situation the way it comes to us, and so that's why we approach it with kindness, and hopefully we get that in return.
Yeah, that's good. Sarah mentioned, or she was asking, what we'll do is we will take that half sheet and we'll put a link in the description of this show where you can download it publicly.
Yeah.
I mean, why not just share something like that? We'll put a link in there. So thanks, Lovey. That's super helpful. Sarah, we'll get a link out in the description. You can check a little bit later today on the show to take a look at that. So a couple other things. So it's not just having to deal with or manage, the homeless population during cold time. We probably talk about this a lot, but what about some cold weather tactics for our officers? It gets very, very cold here in
I've
our
got
area.
a really good one that I'll take a little credit, pat myself on the back. I was working kind of hand in hand with HR. This was years ago here, and they were kind of getting some literature out on slips and falls. That's a thing that a lot of companies face, especially security companies face, is trying to keep their guys safe. And so for us to be as beneficial and as helpful as we can to our officers that are having to do rounds in inclement weather, a lot of times we will cease rounds, and so you'll have a supervisor come over the radio and say, "Hey, everybody that's at a post that requires exterior patrols, we are not doing those tonight, and we'll update clients and et cetera." But one thing that I kind of championed, and it's actually I can't take full credit. This is from a source that I found, but walking like a penguin when you have like either black ice or some sort of slippery conditions.
Any chance you could model that for us on?
Yes, I actually could.
Oh,
no, I'm kidding. So
I was about to go adjust the camera.
No, but it's a technique that you keep your weight over the top of your feet, and so you're not extending yourself too far back or forward. And what that does is it helps you kind of establish a good base.
Oh,
so
I
if
see.
you feel yourself starting to lose grip, you can adjust and correct yourself. That's why penguins kind of walk like this, is because they're not overextending too far one way or the other. And
Or
so
the
there
left or right.
there is some science behind it. And so every year we always put out this little bulletin, and I'm sure officers that have been here for years will know. Why is he so red? Because I'm always red. I was like, who would say that? And I go, oh yeah, no, I know who that is.
It might be the camera. I don't know.
Yeah, blame the camera. But no, that's usually one of the little, like I said, bulletins we'll put out is be aware of your surroundings, and know that if you're going to see the potential of slips and falls, to avoid those, take a picture of it, submit it in a report. I mean, I don't think I've ever had a client say, well, why didn't you guys do exterior patrols? Well, there was 4 inches of snow and it was sleeting and icing. So, I didn't want anybody getting hurt.
Yeah, we
And-
have to take care of, obviously, priority one is safety.
Yep.
So that's incredibly important. So, yeah, obviously, everybody knows, to bundle up, but those particular things, especially if you have to walk around or things of that nature, very important. And, like Joe said, very, very important to make sure that we're remembering that everyone's a customer and that we have to, like I've mentioned before when we've talked, is that every day our team goes out, or security officers go out, let's say in general, and you don this uniform. And if you do that for a while, you kind of don't think about it, I think, perhaps. Maybe I'm wrong. I've never been in a security officer uniform, but I'm imagining, you do certain things all the time and you kind of just take them for granted.
Yeah.
So you may be interacting with people or just walking to your car, or something like that. But the fact is you're wearing this unique set of clothing that has, in our case, our branding all over it. It's on the back, it's on the front. So treating everybody top of mind, like, hey, you're going to remember me. You know who I am. You know who I work for.
Yeah.
It's kind of I don't know if you have this. I have a huge pet peeve where if I'm on the freeway and there's a car driving like a total nightmare, like a maniac, and they've got, Bob's Plumbing on the side, car number 14 with a phone number. I will call that phone number and be like, hey, your guy just tailgated me for the past, 5 minutes or whatever. And so, yeah, keeping that in mind and the fact that we're going to be dealing with people, and that's very important.
Well, and that's the thing. Titan's bigger than just one person.
Right.
So keep that in mind when you're wearing, whether, I wear these shirts all the time. I have hundreds of them. And so I'll wear them on my off days, and they're just comfy, and blue looks good on me. But
it does.
So
it brings
I'll wear
the red
them.
out.
Yeah, and it's a reminder if I'm at the grocery store in one of these, I'm not going to be some asshole to somebody. Even though I want to.
Late.
There's actually a guy on TikTok that does it really well. He cusses a bunch, and he purposely has it like delayed, so you hear the whole cuss word. Yeah, it's really funny. But
or the wrong word, like it's the I went out to because I couldn't be today with the thing, like that.
Yes, just like
apologies, R.I.P. headphone listener.
Yeah, that is
people with headphones.
That's not too bad.
Yeah,
but so yeah, that's just something to understand. Is I learned that. At a young age on a football team, whereas if one of us got caught, drinking or doing something stupid on the weekend, the entire team was punished, and so you understand that the unit is bigger than just one person.
Right.
And so it's kind of the same mentality we try to teach these guys here. And majority of you guys are great at it, and the ones that aren't, that they're not on the team for very long.
Yeah, that's true.
And so we try to establish that just in part of our core values is, hey, this is a big organization. We're growing. We're over 500 guys now.
Right.
That's a year ago we were probably half that.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot more monitoring and making sure our guys, are doing the right things and are making good decisions. And that starts with teaching them from the get go that hey,
sense.
You wear a uniform here, you represent everybody.
Yeah, it's the speed, quality, service, and so being a Titan means something.
Sure.
So real quick, I want to get back to this since this is the topic of the podcast today, but. What are some things to look out for when you encounter a homeless person? So I hope it's okay to say whatever it is or it's not.
Someone dead on their luck. You're in a situation where they don't have somewhere to stay.
Yeah, we've said it a lot already. So
I've heard houseless.
It's
I've heard
too
homeless.
late. It's too late.
Yeah.
So
horses left
the unhomed or something.
Yes.
Anyway, so the question is, you've dealt with people a lot. You have a lot of experience. What are some things to keep an eye out for? What are some signs, or what are some ways to deal with things if things go side? We have our training that we do. We do more training than anybody else here at Titan for officers. Yep. But what are some additional tips or things you want to be really keeping a sharp eye
So someone
for?
that's like agitated is what you're saying, like specifically?
Yeah, just some.
Well, it starts off with that reactionary gap. Keep that distance 21 feet. You can cover that in about a second and a half. So that gives you time to get to equipment you may need. I'm fortunate. I've got kind of a bigger stature, so when I treat people nicely, they take it better usually.
Okay.
And just being a bigger guy helps. People aren't like, hey, I'm not going to deal with that guy. He's big, and it looks like he may give me a run for my money.
Got an advantage.
But
there.
the guys that don't have that, that's where you have to be even better at the tools that you have at your disposal, which starts off with your presence, and then your good verbals, and they say verbal judo. It's kind of cliche. Again, it just reverts back to if you understand that person's mad, they just got kicked out of their house or just got in a divorce or whatever their circumstances are. Like you said earlier, they have a story. Listen to it and actually listen to it, and don't just say, "Oh yeah, that sounds awful."
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Exactly. Like, what can I do to help you? Right. And you're going to get a lot of pushback a lot of times, and so don't be discouraged. Another big thing is patience.
Mm-hmm.
If someone's slowly gathering their stuff, they could have just gotten to that spot, 20 minutes ago, and like I said, they've been kind of migrating, getting kicked out of, buildings. This is more for a downtown experience.
Sure.
So that's just the best advice I can give you, because it's what I'm most familiar with. Is there's lots of different buildings in a small clustered area. Excuse me. And so what I would find a lot is they're like, hey, I just got kicked out of that place. I just got kicked out of this place. And, I'm dealing with this, that, and the other. And understanding that it's going to take them a little bit. They just finally got warm, or they just finally got rested, or they're not completely warm, or they're not completely rested, And so, again, treat them like a human being. Be willing to listen to what they have going on. And then also if they, if It's what we call in our de-escalation training that the chief and I do.
Yeah.
Is just turn down the heat. You're not going to get it to completely turn off, but get it from boiling to a simmer, and you're going to have a lot better results when dealing with somebody.
That makes
because
a lot
I'm
of
not
sense.
going to be able to fix the problem. I'm not going to be able to go, repay their bank loan or whatever
Right,
it is that they defaulted on or whatever,
Change the circumstance.
Yeah, exactly. Best way to put it. I'm not going to be able to change their circumstance probably almost all the time, if not, every time.
It's like
there's not much I can do.
The circumstance you're in is now the circumstance
Yes,
you're in.
exactly.
This is where we're at, and this is what we need to do.
If I could have a magic wand and wave it, I would.
Yeah.
But
What else
we
would
don't.
you do with a magic wand if you could have it and wave it?
I would learn, or I would give myself the ability to fly. I think that'd be cool. Like
You
Superman.
want to be able to fly? That's your super. I'm always curious about
I
that.
do it in my dreams a lot, so I think someday it might actually happen.
You think so?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, you could. It's just a matter of how long and how far.
Well, like it's
And what
weird.
the end
I'll do
result
like-
would be.
I'll do like a jump, and then like sometimes I can stay up in the air longer than others, and then other times I can't, and sometimes like I can just like slowly lift off the. It's weird.
What?
It's been going on since I was a little kid.
In your
maybe
dreams?
Yeah, I'm not joking.
I thought you meant like in real life.
Like it's a dream for me to fly. No. Like in airplanes, I've done that quite a bit,
Oh,
but
okay.
no, like actual like.
Yeah, I
physical
get it.
fly. That's a magic wand. I'd be like, phew,
I
you can fly now.
I got it. Yeah, I'm always curious. I don't know what mine would be.
People want to be invisible. That's weird.
Yeah, it's a
I feel
little
like you
weird.
Spy on people.
Yeah, because
not
people
for me.
automatically go to that's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not
no.
good.
I
In
just
fact,
don't see the reason for ever wanting to be. I mean, maybe to have people leave me alone, but I can just go be alone. I
yeah,
don't have to like be out and about.
you don't need to be completely invisible, like disappear from the world.
No.
We
Some
were
people
just
make me
talking
feel
about-
invisible, Brian.
We
like
saw
you.
that. Yeah, I know. It's on purpose. We're talking about. We saw the movie The Invisible Man with Elizabeth Moss over the weekend. Actually,
Right.
that was really good. And speaking of not that, Joe mentioned. He said, "I read a book called Emotional Intelligence. That is a fantastic book, Emotional Intelligence."
I've heard
So,
about it. I don't
yeah.
do a lot of reading, but I should.
Really, really, really good book, Joe. And if anybody has any other tips around de-escalation or just dealing with the public, it's obviously a huge part of what our officers do. So, so I think that's really good advice. So, like you mentioned, just to recap, try to de-escalate. Remember that you're just talking to people.
Yeah.
They're
I try
just-
to picture him as like a family member or somebody that I
Oh, I
care
like
about.
that.
It's just a good way to do it, and I actually learned that. There was a person I was dealing with that actually looked like one of my cousins,
Oh.
and so it just instantly I was like, obviously you're gonna feel different, If
Yeah.
that's one of your family members.
I heard
you look at him differently.
someone was
so.
saying people have fear of spiders. They
Yeah, I
said
don't
the
like
best
spiders.
the best thing to do is this woman is talking about because she has a fear of spiders. She said there's this big spider outside of her house, and she
Mm-hmm.
said I gave it a name.
Right.
I gave the
It does-
spider a
it does
name,
help.
and it
Yeah.
was like Sophie or something
Yeah.
like that. And she was like, "Oh, I felt much better about
Yeah,
that."
that's a good way to look at it. But yeah, when you're in the same area, if you're on patrol, like with other companies and law enforcement, these guys are trained and they know you're going to develop a relationship with these guys.
Yeah.
But you always have to approach the situation with caution.
Yeah.
Every single time you're dealing with an individual in the field. And actually, you'll hear, and I know statistics will back it up. I don't know the exact amount or what the numbers are, but a lot of times where there's an officer involved, either shooting or injury, is a frequent flyer, if you will, is someone that officer's dealt with in the past.
Oh, right.
And they've always been, there was.
This isn't the first time we've done this, Tom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there's a guy we used to call Santa Claus downtown. He looked
Okay.
like Santa Claus, and he was
I know him.
when he was high, he was super nice. When he wasn't, he was very angry and combative. So we always knew that we had to figure out where he was. But even when he was high and nice, we had to always, kind of keep that guard up because
Yeah.
you just never know with
What's going to
with people.
happen? Yeah. What was the line in Elf? It's like you're bad or you're mean.
He's like, oh, you're an angry elf
You're
or something
angry.
like that.
Yeah. Or you sit on a throne of lies.
Yeah, sit on a throne of lies. Yes, you smell like beef and cheese.
You smell like what? Oh,
Cheese.
okay.
Beef
Yeah.
and cheese.
Great. Well, this has been great. Really good advice.
Coop's,
really
Coop's
good.
a little better, but I'll say you're not bad.
Okay.
Just kidding.
No,
So,
Coop
you
is
did
1,000 times better at
did
doing this.
fantastic.
Unfortunately, Connor, thanks for showing up and really good.
see
Oh yeah, we didn't
commenting
didn't
again.
recap the poll here. So I did a quick poll about beans or no beans. 77% of people say beans. So it looks like beans went out. Speaking of homelessness in Chile, Chill, it's in the name. Chili is about the chills. Oh,
Lavi would come in with some education
beans
on
is
that.
not chili. It is a homeless burrito. It's a burrito in a bowl, desperately looking for a tortilla.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Oh,
Lavi.
that's amazing.
Well done.
Oh man, I wonder how long it took for him to find that and copy and paste it.
It seems like that's something he would know.
Little bit of a burn.
Yeah.
A little bit of a burn. Let's check out the weather because that's exciting. So we're looking at some really great weather coming up pretty soon here. Up on the screen. We got it up on the screen today. So
Fancy. All right, Coop.
hold on. Are we
Coop
gonna
minus
go-
1, Brian plus 1.
should we do the we'll do the
This is the weather voice. The voice of God reading the weather.
so
This is what you're going to feel.
yeah, so Tuesday, tomorrow it's a high of 87, low of 66, and then for the rest of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, we're looking at
Phenomenal weather this weekend.
the high 70s, low 80s. And then we are moving on down starting Friday to the 60s. So we're looking at the mid 60s. Then it's looking like it's popping up. So for about a couple of days, we get some fall weather. But being this area, who knows what the heck that's going to be. So even if it does pop up a little bit next week, it doesn't look like we're going into the 90s
this
or
weekend-
anything like that.
This weekend will be nice. It'll be nice to have a little bit of a break from all this heat. And yeah, I think Saturday, like the low is 38. So that could get potentially pretty chilly. Be good college football weather. Speaking of football, where is
Oh, let's get some football.
Coop's out for a bit. He's got some stuff he's having to handle. So we hope he's back soon.
Yeah, we miss them.
Yeah. So close. I think it's,
Yep. We got the phenomenal, and
Phenomenal.
because it's going to be a little bit warmer later, we have to
Hydration.
remind people
hydration starts the day before, not the day of.
hydration starts the day before, not the day of. Those are on the way, by the way.
You can also get dehydrated in the cold.
Oh, really?
It does happen. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Anytime you're losing fluids, if you're losing more fluids, if you're losing more fluids than you're taking in.
For our Nordic
yeah.
officers,
yes.
they're talking to us. They finally brought this up on the podcast.
Big summer blowout.
Oh, big summer blowout.
So make sure that you guys stay hydrated either way. It's good for your body. High quality H2O.
Oh, I got these backwards. I got them backwards in the thing.
So you're talking and then it's on
Yeah,
me
for a
and
second
you
there.
and vice
It's
versa.
in your head. It's a little weird.
Takes a little getting used to. Inventing new words. Yes, Lord.
Well, I'm glad we had a chance to get a shout out to our Nordic brothers who are here
Yes.
for whatever this is.
Big summer blowout.
Big summer blowout. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching today. And I got to get this thing off of the thing so that we can cut away.
Filler.
Do some filler.
Oh no, I was going to talk about football, but that's right.
Oh, you
we'll
go
save
ahead.
we'll save it for Friday.
You want to talk about the football?
We'll save it for Friday. I was happy with the win. It wasn't as pretty as I wanted it to be, but
Oh, that's right. There was a foosball game, wasn't there?
yes, Chiefs play the Jets, and we pulled through, and yeah, we'll continue to learn from that game. I can assure you that the coaching staff was not happy, but we did get the win. It's just when you get a win like that over a team that we were playing, it makes you nervous. So it's good to get those out early in the season and not towards the end when they really count.
So we won.
We did.
We
did.
won the game.
Yeah. It's kind of like Titan. We win a lot, but we like to win really pretty.
We like to win big.
Yes, big and pretty.
We go big and pretty. All right. Well, thanks for the football recap.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate that. All right,
Absolutely.
everybody. Don't
A lot
forget
of
to
strikeouts. A lot of strikeouts.
Don't forget to share this if it was helpful to you. I really would love to hear some comments about experiences you've had or any tips you have with dealing with the homeless population during the wintertime. It's very helpful. It's something that we have to deal with, and we want to try to be as kind and helpful as we can.
Titan
so.
logo winter caps. Gotta do. I think we do have those.
Oh, like Titan logo beanies?
Yeah, I think we have some.
That'd be fun.
If not, we'll make it happen. Who's that, Joe? Yeah.
Joe wants all the
Just
swag.
Send some reminders, and we'll get on it.
Sure, we will. All right. Well, thank you,
Titan tea.
everybody. Have a great couple
Brian will
days.
take care of you. Don't worry.
We'll see you on Friday. Be sure to watch the podcast on Friday, same time.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye.